In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Nigerians.
The Niger military leader has made a very powerful speech, which he sends a great message to the ECOWAS. Now, let's listen to this.
My dear compatriots, this is a year in which the National Council for the Preservation of the Homeland, CNSP, under my leadership, has decided to take over the destinies of our country, Niger. Indeed, the existential threats faced by Niger did not allow the choice of any patriot to avoid this country from sinking into the obscure shores of terrorism. And this, notwithstanding the placement of the country under the tutelage of foreign military bases. The plundering of resources, the right to pass, and the violation of fundamental freedoms constituted the prelude to a failed regime. Despite the democratic facet displayed and boasted by the former colonial power to compensate for the vassalization of the regime. Victims of this situation, our people joined the new march imprinted by the CNSP, transforming the coup d'etat into a vast movement of national liberation and reconquest of popular dignity. This defiance of the fallen regime, combined with the threat and the unique sanctions imposed by ECOWAS, led to the rejection of any external influence by Nigerians. On a national level, the change generated an unprecedented patriotic momentum, expressing deep aspirations of our people for freedom, dignity, and national sovereignty. I am aware of the immense hope aroused by the events of June 26, 2023, and to be in symbiosis with the popular aspirations that the CNSP has committed under my leadership. On the one hand, to the refounding within the country, and on the other hand, to the construction of the alliance of states of the Sahel in our immediate neighborhood. Our ambition for Niger lies, as you know, around four axes, namely the strengthening of security and social cohesion, the promotion of good governance, the development of production bases, and finally, the acceleration of social reforms. The strong adherence of the population to the momentum imprinted on June 26, 2023 commands us together the duty to succeed in the work of refounding as desired with a patriotic commitment without fail. It is in this perspective that I have committed the government to take the necessary measures and actions for the fulfillment of the vision carried out by the National Council for the Preservation of the Fatherland as part of a program intended to strengthen our resilience and ensure the development of production bases by removing the lessons of the impact of illegal, unique and inhuman sanctions of ECOWAS to the orders.
Les leçons de l'impact des sanctions illégales, uniques, inhumaine d'une CEDEAO aux ordres.
Letters of mission have thus been submitted to the members of the government who will make the sectoral assessment. My dear compatriots, in terms of the defense and security of the territory, the rise in the power of our forces in the theaters of operations is no longer a doubt. Whether it is the fight against terrorism in the Liptako Gourma and in the basin of Lake Chad, or in the context of the fight against great banditry, our defense and security forces are in great success. It is the place to pay a vibrant tribute to our forces of defense and security for the heavy sacrifice made in the service of our populations. The whole nation, through me, expresses its gratitude for your right and shows its solidarity towards the widows and orphans of soldiers who fell on the field of honor. For my part, I swear to guarantee the rise in power of our forces of defense and security by reaffirming the firm determination of all competent authorities to pursue the strengthening of the capabilities of our armed forces. The state will continue to invest in the acquisition of the consequent means required to the height of the threat. Nigerians, the conquest of sovereignty goes first through the exploitation of national resources for the benefit of our populations. At this end, I launched in all the regions of the country the program of Great Irrigation, which aims to ensure the optimal exploitation of the agro-pastoral potential in view of the attainment of our food sovereignty. This flagship program, committed to its own financing, promises satisfactory results. As for sovereignty over our extractive resources, it will differ through the promotion of the principle of local content, whose objective lies in the obligation made to the mining and oil industries to prioritize the micro and medium-sized local enterprises and national personnel. An ordinance will soon be adopted to this effect. In the affirmation of our sovereignty, the National Council for the Preservation of the Country intends to rigorously and without discrimination respect all provisions of mining and oil legislation. Any mining or oil company will be purely and simply to withdraw its exploration or exploitation permit if it violates the regulatory contractual provisions. The Bilma oil block, the R5, R6, R7 renders of Agadem, the Imoraran mining permits, and those of Madawela have fallen into the public domain of the state.
Sont retombés dans le domaine public de l'État.
I can also confirm the next launch of the construction project of an oil refinery and a petrochemical complex in Dosso, as well as the creation of an oil and gas institute in Zender. The Nigerian school, professional training, and the spirit of excellence and enterprise will constitute the major pillar of the refounding and consolidation of our sovereignty, because national fate can only be guaranteed by a responsible citizenship in public policies and the banishment of culture, mediocrity, and impunity.
Et de l'impunité. Nigerians,
on a geopolitical level, I would like to underline that we have successfully, together with Burkina Faso and Mali, solemnly established the Confederation of States of the Sahel,
sur le fonds baptismaux, la Confédération des États du Sahel,
consecrated by the first summit of heads of state of the Alliance of States of the Sahel, held on June 6, 2024 in Niamey. The transition from the Sahel State Alliance to the Sahel State Confederation took less than 10 months. And despite the ambushes posed by those who disturb our independence, illustrates in itself our fierce will to build on the Sahel base in the sovereign space of security and prosperity. The treaty, highlighted by the Declaration of Niamey, creates a union of states structured around three strategic axes, namely defense and security, development and diplomacy. I would like to once again thank my brothers, Presidents Ibrahim Traoré and Assimi Goïta, for the titanic work they have accomplished, despite all the threats and all the conspiracies against the alliance states. I also pledge to work on the operationalization of the Sahel State Confederation, for which I have already set up a national committee. My dear compatriots, be assured that the path we follow is resolutely on the path of the rupture with the neo-colonial order and the establishment of a winning partnership with all the countries of the world at peace and without exclusions. In this regard, Niger will respect all commitments signed with the international community. The disinformation caused by the neo-colonial organs and some renegade compatriots in the role of saloon slaves, according to the formula of my brother, President Ibrahim Traoré, will not divert us from our triumphant march towards sovereignty.
De notre marche triomphale vers la souveraineté. Aucun État,
no state, no interstate organization will dictate to us the conduct to follow or its agenda in terms of strategic or diplomatic partnership.
En matière de partenariat stratégique ou diplomatique. Et ceux qui fantasment
and those who fantasize about the immediate return of the regime to their salaries will be disillusioned. They will have to face the obvious before it is too late. Our march towards full, whole and inexorable sovereignty. My dear compatriots, it is in the resolute framework of this march that a series of preliminary measures and actions are taken by the National Council for the Preservation of the Fatherland to further strengthen our sovereignty, namely, and without being exhaustive, the denunciation of the defense and security agreements that bind Niger to France, the dismissal of the French ambassador as a non-grateful person, the suspension of the rights of dissemination in Niger of certain French propaganda media, the withdrawal of the Nigerian and Burkina from the G5 Sahel, the abrogation of Law 2015-36 of May 26, 2015, relating to the illicit trafficking of migrants, the withdrawal of Burkina, Mali and Niger from ECOWAS, the denunciation of the military agreement between Niger and Benin, the nationalization of the National Society of SOHO, the denunciation of the tax convention between Niger and France, the denunciation of the relative agreement on the status of the military personnel of the United States. Nigerians, my dear compatriots, other measures such as the creation of the Commission to fight against economic, financial and fiscal delinquency, COLDEF, aim to clean up the socio-economic climate by restoring the rights of the state and our populations. The work of reconstruction can only be done with everyone's cooperation and by jointly diagnosing past mistakes to administer appropriate and effective remedies to prevent economic delinquency.
C'est dans cette optique que
It
j'ai
is
mis
with
en
this
place
in mind that I
depuis
established
plus de 2
more than
mois
2 months ago
un
a
comité
technical
technique
committee
chargé de la
responsible for
synthèse
summarizing
des
contributions from the
contributions
inclusive
issues des
regional
assises
assizes,
inclusives régionales, d'organiser la tenue des assises de la diaspora,
organizing the diaspora
et de
assizes,
proposer
and proposing the
les
organization
modalités
modalities for the upcoming
d'organisation
National
en
Inclusive
vue
Forum.
de la tenue prochaine du Forum inclusif national. Zanchenk Asani.
Zintik Asani, Labusa Nino,
Vive le Niger.
long
Vive
live
la
Niger,
Confédération
long live the
des
Confederation of
États
Sahel
du
States.
Sahel.
Thank you. Thanks.
Je vous remercie.